We'll be closing in 2 minutes.
One of the damages that we got was the staining of the stone. When the heat was intense and the fire was going, it also burned the stone. If that's even possible, and some of the stone is very discolored in some areas more than others. I found this hack online where you take some baking soda, mix it with water, and turn it into a putty, and apply it to the surface of the stone. This also works if you have food stains on the stone. And then you cover the whole surface of the baking soda with saran wrap, poke some holes with a knife, and let it sit overnight. So this has been sitting overnight, and you see some of the stain from the stone has oozed out into it. We're gonna unpack it and see how much of the damaged stone we were able to clean and clarify. So we lift the saran wrap and start scooping up the baking soda off of the surface. And as I do that, you notice that there's some of the brown coming off. Now, I could do this multiple times, but honestly, it's a moot point at this point. The stone is basically heat damaged, then since I'm not gonna get a new piece of stone, I'll just have to live with the discoloration. But, it was worth a try.
Before getting to the gluing part, I had to apply this mesh tape. It's a concrete mesh tape that sticks to the back. This is gonna constantly guide the pieces together and keep them from separating. I'm using this work table to create a stable condition. Unfortunately, since this was a corner piece, it also had a lot of these additional lip that was added to make the granite look thicker. And if I rest it completely flat on here, it won't go flat the way I want it. So I have to make these pieces overhang on this table so I can get this stone as flat as I can. I've never glued back granite, so it'd be a learning experience for me, as well as maybe you if you're trying this. But the strap you see around the granite is what I'm going to use at the end to hold the piece together firmly until the glue is completely cured. As stated earlier, I've never done this. This is my first time. The glue I went with is this brand, and it's the one that's highly recommended on the YouTube channels. This is the glue, and this is the hardener that's gonna make the glue work. And the reason I have a cardboard here is this is where all my mixing is gonna take place. I'm gonna mix the glue here, apply it, and then let it set. I'm gonna put the glue on one side. So I probably put it on this side and force it into the opening. Once I get the glue in there, I'm gonna remove the toys and drop the granite down, move it into position with the overhang hanging over the corner, and secure it with the strap. The stone has to be bone dry, so yesterday I placed the stone in the sun and give it plenty of heat to dry out so it's dry through and through, and then on the contact points. So things to share as I'm learning about this. For one, you have to do this in an open space, either outdoor or a well ventilated space. For 100 parts glue, you add 3 parts hardener. So that kind of gives you an idea of what proportion you have to use. Never return what you haven't used into the can, because then it's going to make the entire can harden up. I have about 3 to 7 minutes to get the glue in place and close up the deal. Wearing gloves, we're gonna start the unknown. I think this should be a good amount to cover this space. And now this part is basically eyeballed. So if this is 100, that looks more like a 5 or 6. Some of this is like cooking. Okay, I think we're mixed. Let's apply. Wish me luck. Drive it in. Obviously, I broke the rule of applying only to one side. I just went ahead, went for the kill, and applied it everywhere. Never really want to follow instructions. Okay, I think that's all the glue I can get in there. Remove the excess. This was a little piece I recovered from the other day. Whoops, got some on the floor. Okay. probably end up sacrificing this strap. It'd be good if someone helps you when you're doing this, but that's always a tall order around here. Oh, the strap was a good idea. Now, according to what it said, it should start hardening. Using a blade, I'm gonna remove the excess glue. Few more minutes went by and now I can cut this like cake. This part is the artistic part, which again I have never tried or done, or I've only seen. I went with this kit. It's a kit of primary color sets. Um, they offer all the other colors: green, red, blue, purple, yellow, etc. And then they also have the what they call the nimble gray, the black, and the pure white. These colors looks like they've been kind of settled in, so I need to mix it before I can use it. It's too white. Let's apply some black. Don't need a lot. Remember, the rule is 3%. Mix it. Try it. I don't know, I think it worked. I say it's pretty darn good. I mean, the crack we see now is no different than a line down the granite. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the, let's go with the nimble gray because that fits. We mix the nimble gray and the white. This is a view of the reverse side of the granite. If you notice, the epoxy glue that was applied is sticking out. It oozed out from the other side that was hanging. I ended up having to take the mesh off the surface. I'm gonna put a new one. This part I'm gonna have to saw it out using a handheld saw. I think the epoxy glue is so good that if I was to take a hammer to the stone, it will probably create a whole new crack in a different spot. This is not gonna break off. Using the same saw, I cleaned up the old glue that was here, and now we're gonna put on these pieces. This is what used to be down here as the lip. We have to get it back in. Obviously this is not gonna go in as easily, so I'm gonna have to shave off some of the stone and then fill it with epoxy. I cleaned and dry fitted these two pieces. I went ahead and fixed a bit of glue, and we're gonna apply the epoxy in this area. The piece next to it had come loose, but I think once this is glued down, it will hold that one in place as well. Alright, I think I got this. Here is a close-up view of the repair. I think it came out really good, considering it was my first time and the crack was rather large. The only part that shows a little bit of maybe that this was put back together is this, but honestly, at the end of the day, you can't tell. And the paint actually worked. If you notice, the gray worked really nice in here, became part of the stone, and the dark colors I used here blended in well. Overall, it's good. Few days have passed since the epoxy glue was put on the stone, and as you see, this is the result. This is where the break was, and after application of the paint and the color, that's what it looks like. Pretty good for the first time. I also went ahead and glued the side that had separated, and then once it's closer to installation, I'm gonna buff all this out and try and get it as clean as I can. But overall, very happy with the epoxy glue and looking forward to doing the other piece. If you can see, this is the pretty heavy. Pretty well put together. A little off over here, but I think buffing it will fix that.